Hi, welcome to my channel, and I just wanted to let you know that I've listed all the colors I've used in this painting in the description below. And while I've sped up parts of this video, especially where the brushwork is repetitive, but all my color mixing and the initial brushworks are all in real time too. Plus, I also show you how I used glazing to tone down and tone up colors. So let's get painting. So I've got a 11 by 12 inch canvas board on which I've roughly sketched out my flowers, my oleander flowers, and on the base, at the base I just brushed in some a coat of white paint. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint in the background. I'm going to have a dark background. So I've got Hooker's green, permanent green deep, I've got an olive green, got cobalt blue, yellow ochre and cadmium yellow medium. So first of all what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Hooker's green, which is a very dark beautiful green, and I'll mix some of the permanent green, which is a lighter green. So I'll get a really nice dark color. Into this I'll mix some yellow ochre. Let me get it a little darker, and I'm using a flat brush, a synthetic flat brush. The size is number 4. Mix some yellow ochre in here and there to give a diffused kind of background. Now in this area I'm going to put some blues in. I made my sketch using a watercolor pencil, which is nice because the watercolor pencil just melts into the water-based acrylic paint. I created my own composition. I found a lot of pictures on the internet. Plus I have oleanders growing in my garden, and I made my own composition. That's fun to do. I find it fun to do. There are lots of copyright free websites you'll find online where you can choose and pick up your pictures. And that's what I usually do, unless I have pictures of my own. Alright, I've got my base coat in. Let me put some yellow ochre here. A little bit of the blue. I'll list all the colors in the description below, so you can always reference it. Now what I'm going to do is allow this layer to dry. Acrylics dry very fast, and then see if I need to do anything more to the background. I'm going to add some more yellow ochre on top, the larger brush, the number 2 brush. I've got another interesting color here, the olive green, which I've not used at all. Put a few dabs here and there on top. Keep playing with your background, because an interesting background gives your flowers a nice stage for them to look good. So I love really working on the background. Little dabs of paint here and there, giving the impression that there's lots of greenery, which I do have in my garden. There's a big tree growing right on top of my oleander plant. So now I'm going to paint in the leaves. I've got some chrome green light, olive green, and some emerald green. Plus I've got the permanent green deep. I'll mix them together and play around with the colors. I think my background is still wet, so I'll need to wait for it to dry because my leaf greens are going and mixing with the background. See, I sketched in the leaves with the watercolor, so it's melting with the green and making it dark. I've just picked up some more yellow and giving it a brighter edge. Let's get a variation of greens in your leaf because the sun falls on it and creates variations of colors. Getting some cadmium yellow and stroking that in, mixing it on the canvas itself. More yellow. Dipping my brush in some water to make the paint flow. Permanent green deep. It's got a nice bluish tinge to it, which I like. Makes a nice base coat. I'm mixing the permanent green and the chrome green light to paint the stalk in. This is just the base coat. So all these colors are pretty transparent, translucent. So they have to be given a couple of coats. Getting some yellow to lighten it up. I've changed the composition here. So I'll put in the dark here to change up the composition. Hooker's green. My yellow ochre. Alright, there's one leaf growing here, but I'm going to change its composition too. Instead of that, I'm going to have it growing like this. So you can always change up your compositions in acrylic. It's so easy to do. Maybe I'll have that leaf also. Leaves crisscrossing everywhere. Looks interesting. Adds fun to the painting. So working on this leaf, I've got an angled synthetic brush. It's number 2. I mixed up the permanent green with the cadmium yellow and just streaking it in. Lots of yellow. Just layers and layers of paint. I'm putting in the permanent green deep. The one behind will be a little bluer. Mixtures of greens. I'm mixing a little bit of the hooker's green so that it's a little darker here. Permanent green deep. Right. Let that layer dry. Work on this leaf. Mix in yellow and permanent green deep. Mix some yellow and the olive green. permanent green deep, a little bit of the olive green, getting some yellow and edging it with the yellow. Olive green, a little bit of yellow. I want to edge this leaf too. And adding the yellow here for the edge. Permanent green deep, little olive green, and this one. So now the paint is not flowing, so dip my brush in water, and there you are. Permanent green deep and yellow. Add some more yellow here to brighten it up. I sometimes use the flat of the brush, sometimes the edge of the brush. To work on the stalk. Permanent green deep and yellow. I think I'll lengthen this one here. There's a stalk going up to this flower. There are stalks here and there. Just putting random stalks here and there, making it up as I go. Get the hooker's green to give it a sharp edge. I'll put dark middles to begin with, the spine of the leaves, the hooker's green. Now mixing up some yellow and putting it in the middle. Keeping on working, adding more yellow to the edges. Layers and layers, that's the whole game. Getting some bluer greens because I want this to recede at the back, yet stand out from the background. Some leaves will go back and some leaves will come in front. So when you add lighter, the yellow to the green, it becomes brighter. Lighten up the stalk a little. I think I'll add one more leaf here. It goes green in the middle for the spine. So I want to lighten up some of the leaves. I've got some green, chrome green, which I'll stroke here and there. It's a lovely light color. I've taken it straight from the tube. I've not mixed it with anything yet. It's a very transparent color, so the colors below it are showing through. Just a few leaves. Some leaves have to pop out, some can stay in the background. I'm using a small flat brush. It is size number 1. I'm going to get some canary yellow and outline it. Since the green is still wet, it's mixing with the green and lightening it up a little more. And leaving the middle dark because the leaf bends over there. It's a natural bend in the leaf. I'll pop in some light colors here and there. It will catch some sunlight here and there. I want this leaf to be lighter too. Mix in canary yellow and the chrome green. This leaf should be lighter. Acrylics dry darker. That's why once it dries up, you have to keep checking to see and then add more lights if you feel the need to. I want this to have a stalk here. It looks lovely when a few leaves are in shadow and a few are highlighted. Some of the yellows are lost, the spinal yellows. Washing my brush, pick up some canary yellow and put in the spine. I'm picking up some of the olive green and this stalk over here. Layers and layers. Acrylics. Chrome green and canary yellow. Lovely translucent colors. Keep working at it until I'm satisfied. Some olive green, which is a duller kind of green. Chrome green for this because it's on top. It's a lighter green, brighter green. That olive green is looking very nice. I think I'll put it in here and there. All right, moving on to the flowers now. I've got, let me show you the colors I have. I have a light pink, it's called flesh tone pink. I've got a magenta, I've got purple, ultramarine blue, and this is permanent rose. So let me put the base coat now. Mixing up the magenta and the flesh pink color, and let me begin with this one. This is just the base coat. And since I sketched the flower out with my purple watercolor pencil, it's mixing with it and creating a deeper tone. And let this base coat dry. Move on to the next petal. The watercolor pencils I've used purple and orange, so they're creating a lovely shade, lovely dark shade, which is perfect for the base. This petal is kind of disappearing behind that leaf. Mixing up the magenta and the flesh pink. And in the middle there are these stamens, which I'm putting a little of the purple and the ultramarine blue mix. It's so transparent. I have to put layers and layers. But that's the fun of acrylics. The layers are the fun. The kind of effects you can get. Not washing my brush as such, not thoroughly. I'm putting in some permanent rose here. Mixing the permanent rose and the magenta. When you're painting petals, you paint towards the growth of the petals. That is, the petal is growing out that way, so you paint this way or this way, not like this. Keep loading the brush and putting the base coat on. It's becoming a purple shade because of the watercolor pencil that I used to sketch it. I'm using a number 2 flat. Now I'll have to wait for this layer to dry. It will not take any more paint. All the flowers are still wet, so I'll just wait for them to dry. This one seems to be semi-dry. This was taken in paint. Alright, for the next layer of the flowers, I've got some Crimson Lake, which I'm going to mix with white, and add a little bit of Scarlet Lake. Crimson Lake is a deeper color, Scarlet Lake is a more orangey red color. So let me start off from here. I'm going to put the Crimson Lake in this, like this. Some white here. I'm using a bigger brush. This is a filbert, and the size of the brush is number 6. It's got these little ripples. The middle of the flower is a little dark, so I'm mixing the blue and the purple, and I'm just registering it in. It has a little green too in it, so I'm putting some olive green. Likewise on this one. I've taken a smaller brush, this is number 2. Still working on this. I've loaded it up with Crimson Lake mixed with white. It's got these little ripples on the petal. I'm taking the Crimson Lake and registering that in. adding some white. Little streaks of crimson. Dipping it with white. That is scarlet. That's the flesh pink. I'm adding a bit here and there, streaking it in. Mixtures of pinks. This is the flesh tint. Picking up more crimson lake and white. Little bit of the flesh tint. Mixing some white and streaking that in here. So continuing with the flower, I've mixed up some zinc white, which is a translucent white. With the crimson lake. What happens with the translucent white is that it doesn't cover up the underlying paint as much. I'm just giving some finishing touches to this. And then I've got some deep magenta, which I'll mix with the crimson, and I'll add slight touches to give a variation. Mixing up some crimson. Plain crimson here, a little edge of crimson, and then getting some white. On to the next petal, white and crimson. Dipping the edge with the white, a little bit here as well. Getting the deep magenta and little strokes here and there. Again a little white. Little touch of white here at the edge, here as well. Magenta streaks. And then a little bit of crimson mixed with the magenta and a little bit of the white. Pure crimson here. I want to deepen up the side. Streaks of pure white, adding dimension to it. And then picking up the magenta and the crimson, a little white. This one has an edge, a crimson edge. Picking up a little magenta mixing it in. White. And then magenta for the middle part. Little crimson. Little streaks of crimson here and there. Adding some white. Adding more white. Crimson mixed with white. Magenta and crimson mix. Little white. Little more magenta. Little more crimson. Picking up white. Picking up some white, a little bit of crimson, and my flesh tint that I have, and give little strokes here and there. Pick up a little crimson and do this bit. A little pink tinges here and there, dark pink tinges here and there. Continuing with my white and flesh tint mix. Picking up white. I've picked up a tiny round brush. The number is 3 by 0, and I've dipped it in some magenta, and I want to give some edges here at the edge of the petals. Dipping my brush in some water, wiping off the excess, picking up more paint. Little bit of the white, and the flesh tint. Picking up white. Dipping my brush a little in water. Alright, on to the next flower. Picking up crimson, the flesh tint, and working on this one. The flesh tint, crimson, flesh tint, little white, a streak of crimson here, and then picking up white. Little of the flesh tint, adding streaks of crimson at the edge, and then picking up the flesh tint, dipping my brush in water. Little white here. Crimson and white. Just a streak of crimson here. Pick up my number 1 flat brush, dipping it in some water, mixing up some paint, white, flesh tint, crimson, just giving it some highlights here and there. Little crimson. A little white. Just needs layers and layers. Adding some flesh tint here and there. Adding some white. Zinc white. It's a very translucent white. Dipping my brush in some water so that it flows. Picking up some flesh tint, working that in crimson and white. Mixed up some magenta and the crimson and give streaks. A little more white and crimson. Little of the magenta, because I want these two flowers to be less bright, because I want the focus to be on that flower. Pick up some white. Crimson and white. Picked up some magenta. I think I'll increase the size of this petal. Dipping my brush in some water. Pick up some white. Alright, so I'm going to be working on the stamens now. I've mixed up some scarlet lake and carmine red with titanium white to create a light pink color, with which I've drawn out these stamens with my watercolor pencil. Dipping my brush in a little bit of water so that it flows more easily. I'm using a number 2 round brush, synthetic brush. Putting some whites at the tip. This is titanium white. All along I've been using zinc white to create these shades, but now I want a harder white. Zinc white is more transparent. Titanium white is very opaque, and I want that opacity here. I just picked up some scarlet lake, getting a little bit at the base. I feel it needs some depth there. And then dipping my brush, getting back to the pink again. And then I'll have to wait for this layer to dry up until I can go on to the next layer. Onto this flower, same process. I'm putting more scarlet in the filaments behind. I've squeezed out some canary yellow and I'm going to mix that with the white. I still have a little bit of the pink on my brush. I rinsed the brush out, but even then. And I'm going to put some down here. A little filament like things. Pure canary yellow. It's turning green because I had sketched it out with my green watercolor pencil. And I like that effect. A little bit here and a little bit here. The next layer, I've mixed some canary yellow with the pink. That is Scarlet Lake, carmine mixed with white, and I've added some canary yellow. I'm mixing some scarlet and the canary yellow to get a deeper tone, a little bit of the white. I want to get a deeper tone inside here. Likewise on this, little deeper tone inside at the base of the filaments or stamens. Loading my brush with a pink tone mixed with a lot of white. Getting the orangey tone. Just a variation of colors here and there creates interest. Now I've picked up some deep magenta and a little bit of violet. I'm mixing the two together and I'll mix it with the carmine to create purple, nice deep purple. And I want to get in, pull it out a little bit, get some white, blend it in, go back to the purple. I'm mixing up some canary yellow and lots of white with the pink, and I'm going to dip some of these. I've mixed up some ultramarine blue, canary yellow and permanent yellow deep. I've mixed that up to make a greenish tone, which I want to dab in here. Pick up more ultramarine blue, deepen the color. do the same on this flower. Maybe a little here. And then picking up the canary yellow, mixing it with the lighter green color. Even lighter than that, I'm going to pick some white with it. A little bit of the permanent deep yellow. A little bit of the permanent deep with the pink, dabbing it here and there. Pick up more white. Ultramarine blue and the canary yellow to create a deeper tone. I've added the permanent deep yellow. I'm going to dab a few dots here and there. I think this has become a little too overpowering. So I'm going to take the carmine and make a very light glaze out of it. That is, I'll add a lot of water to it. Just tone down this thing, because I don't want it to pop out so much. I want it to pop, but not that much. So this is the glazing technique where you can tone down colors, even highlight colors. I think that's looking better. I'll do the same for this. I'm doing the same for this. Tone it down. I want the flower to pop out, and while this is part of the flower, I don't want this to be so in your face kind of. This flower, I've penciled out a separate petal here, which I will mix the purple and the carmine and a little bit of the magenta. Putting in some darker colors between these things. I've squeezed out some permanent rose, which is a deeper color, and I'm going to mix it with the white, a little bit of the white, and stroke it in. I need a little deeper than that. Adding variations of colors makes it interesting. I'll do the same here. Likewise on this one. I've lost some of the tips on this, just a few here and there, not too much. That's a lighter pink. I'm picking up pure ultramarine blue and dabbing it here and there. I'm going to work on the buds now. I've mixed up deep magenta and the permanent rose, and here goes base coat. I'm using a larger brush now, number 2 flat. Dipping my brush in a little bit of water to help the paint to flow easier. Adding a little bit of ultramarine blue here at the base. Deep magenta and ultramarine blue. And then mix some white and the carmine along with the permanent rose and give it little streaks. Pick up some of the permanent deep yellow and just put a few dabs here and there. The permanent rose, mixing it with a little bit of white, and yes, this one here, deep magenta and permanent rose mix. Adding a little white. I'll get a darker shade on this one. So deep magenta. A little bit of ultramarine blue to give it a darker shade here. Onto this bud here. These buds are going behind. Mix some white and carmine. And I want to highlight some parts of this. Put some scarlet, I guess. Yeah. Likewise on this one. I've added some permanent deep yellow to the mix. This one I'll keep darkish so that it can be differentiated from the flower petal. Picking up some ultramarine blue, mixing it with the deep magenta. Continuing with the buds, deep magenta, permanent rose. The paint is now flowing, dipping it in a little bit of water. That's too much water, wipe it off. Add some white, a little bit of the permanent yellow and a few highlights. Mixing permanent deep with the carmine. Add a little white. I'm picking up a darker, there's another little bud here. Now this one here, I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's either a shriveled up dried flower or a flower that's about to bloom. I found it in one of the reference. I don't use a single reference photo. I source a whole bunch of reference photos from websites which allow free reference photos for artists. So I found this in one of the pictures. I've squeezed out some lighter magenta. I'm going to mix it with a little bit of white. Picking up the pure light magenta. Ooh, look at that pop of color. I'm mixing some permanent rose and crimson lake to work on this, adding some white and then a deeper color, permanent rose and white. Permanent rose and a little of the deep magenta to create some variations. This will be a little bit in the shadow because this petal is overlapping this. Some white. Added some permanent rose. I want to etch the petal with white, zinc white, some parts of the petal. Make some zinc white, scarlet and a little permanent rose. I want that dark, deep magenta. This thing has dark streaks. I'm taking the magenta and I'm giving it some dark streaks. And then take the lighter magenta, mix it with the deep magenta. Taken some scarlet and I've really watered it down. I want to glaze this a little more. Tone it down. I want to tone down these streaks as well. Get some zinc white. Tone this down a bit. Although it's looking really lovely, but I think one petal is popping out too much. We're just glazing in a little bit of zinc white and permanent rose and scarlet lake. I want to tone this one also down a bit. While I want it to be lighter, I don't want it to pop out so much. Adding a little zinc white, I want to highlight this part. I want to highlight some of the stalks, so mix in cadmium green light, a little bit of the permanent deep green, and a few leaves as well. Mixing a little canary yellow with it for the top part. I want to shorten this leaf, so I've mixed some permanent green deep with some magenta. Dabbing it here and there for balance. And then I'll wash my brush, wipe it up, mixing the cadmium green pale. A little bit of the canary yellow for the spine, just a hint of the spine here and there. This is zinc white. Like I said, it's a very transparent white. Beautiful carmine color. Added some white. Mix my crimson lake and the carmine. I'm going to add a little bit of white. A little crimson. Adding some white here. Work on this one too a little bit. Now I've mixed up some scarlet lake and I'm going to Scarlet Lake and white. Adding a little crimson. Little, the tips, little white in it. Mixing up the crimson and the Scarlet Lake. Dipping my brush in water, picking up white and mixing the Scarlet Lake. Little crimson. Picking up a little more white. Mixing some crimson with white. Scarlet Lake and white. Pick up some crimson. Picking up some white and scarlet. I'm mixing a little bit of deep magenta. I want to stroke that in. I'm using a very small round brush. Magenta and the crimson mix. I'm making a glaze of the carmine. That is, I've really watered it down. I want to work on the bards. I'm mixing the deep magenta with a little bit of crimson. I'll emphasize this small little bud here. I've decided that this is a flower which is about to bloom. Picking up the carmine glaze. Crimson and magenta. Maybe there's a bud here as well. Magenta and crimson. Taking more carmine. Picking up some crimson and a little bit of the deep magenta. I want to paint these in between the petals. All right. What else? I think I'm done. So this is the finished painting. I hope you like it. Don't forget to click on the thumbs up and subscribe to me, please. I would appreciate that. And yeah, let me give you a close-up of the painting. Oh, my shadow is coming. That's the flower, the leaves, the buds, the flower on the side, and the little flower. So that's it. See you next time. So bye for now.